Hello everybody out there. So it's been a while since I've done a video, can't lie. Outside, chilling, listening to the bugs, smoking a cigar. It's a good day. Got back from San Antonio recently. Positivity, amazing trip, cannot lie. So while I was out there, shout out to the boy for bringing up an interesting topic that I kind of talked about and kind of hadn't talked about before. So I was like, you know what, something interesting. It is a good point of view, and it's something that I think people could benefit from. So I'm gonna break it into 3 parts. That way, so when I post this thing on TikTok and just chop, chop, chop. But I promise you that one of the 3 parts will help you or apply to you in some way. If you're single, dating, not married. If you're married, sorry, this isn't the video for you. But, well, I guess maybe if you get divorced, but, you know, hopefully you don't get divorced and you stay married. But yeah, so if you want to watch the whole video, watch the whole thing all the way through. If you want to skip to the parts, I'll highlight it up some way so you can skip to the parts. So, number 1, after a breakup, the reality is you have some things you gotta do. I guess I should have went the other way. After a breakup, there's some things that you gotta do. See, I haven't done a video in a while. Things you gotta do. Part 1. So the first thing after a breakup that I really think is important to do, I don't think a lot of people take the time, and again, shout out to the boy for bringing it up, after a breakup, is taking the time to self-reflect. And first, self-reflecting on what you did well and what you didn't do well, and what you want to improve on and what you need to improve on for your next relationship. If you take the time to reflect, think about what you need to do better, it's going to help you in your next relationship change things. So if you thought about, I don't even know, you thought about not doing the dishes, or you thought about the fact that you were on your phone too much, or whatever it was, it sets you up where you can focus on those things when you go into your next relationship, try and not repeat them and try and be better about them. And it's one thing that I can tell you that I've done in my relationships, and it tends to work. Now, you're not going to be perfect. It's not going to be snap of your fingers to be better, but it definitely will help improve that next relationship because you're focusing on being better at those things, and hopefully you continue to still be good at the things that you were good at before. You still should reflect on that, obviously, because, oh, that was thunder. Lightning, excuse me. You should still be better at those things, hopefully, and maybe improve on them a little bit too, but I would say just take the time to focus on things that didn't go well from your point of view, like for step 1, and really just figure out, that's a big spider too, good God, outside in Texas is wild. Focus on things that you could do better and really try and improve your next relationship. And again, I think that if someone does that every single time they get out of like a serious relationship, it will set you up where you're gonna continue just to get better and better and better. You're never gonna be perfect, but you're gonna be a much more well-rounded partner to your person. Okay, number 2. Okay, so for number 2, the next thing I really think you need to do after you reflect on yourself first, because I think you should always think about what you could have done, what I could have done better or more of. Number 2 is you need to take the time to reflect on things that you did like and things that you didn't like about your last relationship. I think a lot of times we spend too much time thinking about all the negative stuff, or we spend all the time with the, the rose-colored glass, thinking about all the positive stuff. But I think that you got to kind of go down the middle and think about the positives and the negatives. I'm not thinking about like the positive moments and the negative moments. I'm talking about like the positive stuff and positive traits that you found and saw and had in your partner, your ex-partner, and things also that were maybe negative characteristics that you didn't like. And I really do believe that taking the time to think about these things is really important, because it's a decent cigar, by the way, in case you're wondering. Take the time to think about those things, because when you go into your next dating cycle, if you will, you want to know not only what you're looking for, but what you're not looking for, what characteristics that you want, values that you want, and the ones that you don't. And I think a lot of times, I want to extend this a little bit farther, I think a lot of times we think about the things that we really don't want to deal with again. I don't want to deal with someone who's naggy, or I don't want to deal with someone who's lazy, or I don't want to deal with someone who doesn't put the toilet seat down. I don't know, whatever. But the point is that spend a lot of time on that. So I think that you should think about those things, the things that you don't want. Maybe it was something that was new that you didn't know you didn't want. So yeah, focus on those things a little bit, give them the once over, but you do need to also take the time to really focus on the positive things that happened in that past relationship, and making sure that, and this is something that I didn't do when I was younger, and I know I'm not that much older than probably half of who watch these videos, but I didn't spend a lot of time doing this correctly. So in my past, I used to get out of relationships, right? And when I would get out of them, I would, because this was advice I was given when I was 22, 23 years old, write down a list of things that I wanted in the next person that I dated. And a lot of times, thinking back on it, the couple of lists that I made were really shallow. They didn't really hold a lot of weight for like a really good long-term relationship that could lead to marriage. Now, if you're just really young and just dating, then like kind of like I was at the time, it really doesn't matter as much. Yeah, you should be looking for more of like just things that are going to make you happy. But as you get a little bit older, or if you are looking for something more serious or something that's going to potentially lead to marriage, I would say take the time to make a list of maybe the top 10 things that you do truly want that are like going to go the distance. It doesn't need to be she has a nice butt, or it doesn't need to be that, I mean, again, these are like subjective, obviously. It doesn't need to be that he makes $1 million a year. Whatever it is, make it realistic, positive stuff that is going to determine if the potential relationship in the future can go the distance, if that's what you're wanting. If you're not, again, you can just go with a simple list of she has a nice butt, she makes me laugh, we have a good time together, and whatever else, other things that are important, like she's loyal and honest, or he has a good job and he's educated, or whatever it may be. But I would say, I hear the thunder, see thunder, lightning, you know, being new, I guess I'm not even new to Texas anymore, just being out here, I'm still adjusting to the two. But really taking the time to make that list, think about the things that you do want, and then also think about things that you don't want. And I wouldn't say make a list for that necessarily, but just make sure you take the time. So again, you got number 1, which is reflecting on yourself and what you can do better. Number 2 is reflecting on what you do and don't want in your next relationship, or whatever it is that you're looking for. Now the last one, we're going to go into number 3. And that was lightning. So for number 3, what I'm going to say is, this is not really like practical advice. Maybe it is practical advice. I'm a little tired, so it could be the right word. I don't know. It's not everyday advice is what I'm going to tell you. This is for the guys and the gals, as we're the first two, but I really think this is like more of the, if you're lazy and just want to get one part of this video, I guess I should have said at the beginning, number 3 is probably the number for you, because you really don't have to do anything aside from listen. So for number 3, what I'm going to say is this. If you get out of a relationship and I guess you're going into the next one, and I guess this really isn't like you getting out of a relationship necessarily, so I guess it doesn't really necessarily tie in, but I'm going to tie it in. When you get out there dating, again, dating circuit, dating world, you need to pay attention to how people talk about their exes. You really, really do. And I'm going to tell you from a man's point of view to the ladies out there, y'all need to really think about how you talk about your exes. Really, 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 because I don't hear as many guys just banging on their exes. But believe me when I tell you that we listen to what you say, and it drastically impacts how we decide to move forward with you, and also on what level we want to move forward with you. So I know people will say that the past shouldn't matter, or whatever, blah, 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 blah. That's not true. The point is that when you are banging on your exes and saying all the bad stuff about them, it makes me think to myself, dang, she really can't pick. She really likes crappy guys. Like, I don't want to deal with a woman who dates crappy guys, because I'm going to try and bring value to her life in a relationship, and she might not see that value because she is used to crappy guys, just straight up. And it goes both ways, where guys are going to, if they bang on the girls they used to date, it should be a red flag for you too, because if she was crazy and manipulative and da 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 da, or multiple of his exes were, then you gotta think like, okay, was she always that way? Same thing with the guys, was he always that way? And you gotta start asking those questions, really digging in a little bit more. Now, that was a tree branch falling. You probably didn't hear that though. Now that's kind of like the surface level. Take it one step further, right? So not only are you listening to figure out what type of person they are and who they're really dating and spending their time with, and are they good at picking people, but the bigger one to me, the red flag that I don't think a lot of people catch, and I learned this a long time ago, no one ever told me, I was just like, that's gotta be a thing, right? After dating enough people, is if everybody that they've dated, or 80% or 90% of the men that she's dated or the women that he's dated, are crazy or manipulative or narcissistic or terrible or treated them bad or blah 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 blah. If the vast majority of them are, you have one of two things that are going on. One is back to what I said at the beginning, they're a terrible picker, and you probably won't be valued because you're going to treat them amazing and they're going to be like, oh, freak out. But the more likely option, unfortunately, is that it's them. It's not the people they're picking. The most people they're probably picking are probably decent people. Like most people out there, they're decent or they're good. And it's the person. At the end of the day, the least common denominator, the thing that boils down at the end of every relationship breakup, every relationship beginning, is you. You always have you. So to my guys and gals, especially the younger guys and gals that are out there, so the ones that are in their early 20s, not that I'm that far away, but just early 20s, if they have a lot of crazy stories and all their exes were terrible, run. Just run. Like, don't think about what I'm saying past that point, run away. I figured this out, again, like I said, at a younger age, and there has only been one time that I really broke that rule and was a great person, but the amount of crap and damage that that person had, no offense to them, but it's the truth, was crazy. So again, the least common denominator in any relationship is going to be you. So if everyone else is crazy, everyone else is bad, it's that person the majority of the time. And what I'm also going to tell you is, not only is it hard to deal with the fact that they have a bunch of baggage or drama or whatever else, but you will quickly realize if you get into that situation that you're going to be the crazy person, because those people probably didn't start out. A lot of times the stories are BS and they're fabricated and made up, so a lot of times the person is just overindulging because they have, you know, no accountability, which ties into something else I'm going to say. But to make it brief, the point is that those people probably were normal, and even if they did treat her kind of bad or him kind of bad at some point in time, usually they were pushed to that point in time because they're dealing with all this other crap. So you don't want to be that person. You don't want to have to, you know, turn into the bad guy of the story. The other thing I'll tell you too is people that can't sit there and say, and this is another like really important piece that you don't want to deal with, when people sit there and say it was all these other people and they were terrible and that's why we broke up, and they have all these just terrible stories of their exes, you have to realize that you're dealing with someone who has limited to no accountability. They're not going to be able to apologize. They're not going to be able to say I'm sorry. They're not going to have conflict resolution skills, communication skills. Like, it's going to be all lacking so much, and I promise you the last thing that you want to deal with is somebody who can't say, hey dude, I'm sorry. I can't say like, hey dude, because that sounds kind of weird and I really don't use that, but like, hey lady, hey ma'am, hey miss, I'm sorry. And it's just not a fun place to be. So those are the three things that I would highly recommend that you do after a breakup and or before getting into another relationship and vetting someone that you kind of want to date or whatever you want to do with them. So that's what I got for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will try and get back to doing more regular videos. I got some good motivation over the last week from a couple different people, and the trip was definitely positive and exactly what I needed. Give me a little bit of like a spurt again to hopefully start being what was I told? Being more consistent. So hope you guys enjoy. I'll talk to you guys soon. Stay tuned, all that fun jazz. Stay healthy, stay safe. Remember, above all, be greater than. Have a blessed night, guys. Bye.